Hey guys, Enders here. This is going to be a comprehensive video about settings and how to go about setting up specific things like setting your sensitivity in the actual game files, setting up user configs, stuff like that. I will also have specific settings for console. This is going to be a comprehensive video, or at least as comprehensive as I can make it. I will leave timestamps for specific things in the video, so you can, if you already know some of the things that I'm talking about, you can skip through and find something that you want to know about. And without further ado, let's get into the first thing. A lot of people don't know how to set their sensitivity anyway but in-game, but you can actually set your sensitivity in the actual ProfSave profile, which I will show you how to get to and how to use. You can also set individual ADS sensitivities or zoom sensitivities, such like this, but I don't touch mine, but I will show you how to do that. And yeah, let's get that out of the way first. All right, so we're on my lovely desktop right now. As you can see, I've been playing Skyrim recently, but that's beside the point. The first thing you need to do to change your sensitivity in game through the files is you need to go to the File Explorer here, go to Documents, go to Battlefield 5. Now, once you're in the Battlefield 5 folder, you want to go to Settings. The two files that you care about in this are ProfSave Backup Profile Synced right here and ProfSave Profile Synced. You need to change the same command in both files or else it will not save. That is very important. If you're having problems actually getting your sensitivity to change in-game and you swear that you changed it correctly, you're probably not changing it in both files. So let's open up one of these. The command you're going to be looking for to set your sensitivity, your general sensitivity, is gst_input.mouseSensitivity. Mine happens to be 0.013700. Now, when you open this file, you will most likely have a different number than mine. If you want to change the sensitivity and say you want to change it to an exact value of, let's say, 12 centimeters or whatever measurement you want to, we are going to use a very useful website called mousesensitivity.com. So, I would highly recommend this website. I use it all the time for many games. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go down here. This is going to be set to inches, but we're going to set it to centimeters for all intents and purposes. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to come down here, type Battlefield 5 in. I was already messing around with this, but type Battlefield 5 in. Now, sensitivity 1 is referring to the sensitivity found in the file itself. So put that in there. Mine again is 0.013700. Put your DPI in. This is a PC only thing you can do. I'm not entirely sure that you can do this on console. I'm almost certain it's impossible. If you use ADS field of view, select on or off. If you use uniform soldier aiming, select on or off. Resolution doesn't really matter, but I typed it in for the sake of this video. I am using 2560 by 1440 on a 27-inch monitor with 84 field of view. Now, see, it gives me my my settings back here, and also gives me all of these specific zoom sensitivities, which you can change in the same file. You see, gst input.soldier zoom sensitivity 1 times 1.25, 1.5, 2, and so on. This will also give you your sensitivity in an output that is centimeters. For instance, my sensitivity is 26.6699 centimeters. Now that roughly works out to 10.5 inches. This will be different based on your settings, obviously, but let's say I wanted to mess around and change my sensitivity to, well, I don't know, maybe something lower. I would come over here in sensitivity 1 and mess with it a bit. Now, you can, let's see what happens when I type in 0.1. See, it'll give you an error. Calculated sensitivity is too high for vehicle. 1.7 max is 1. So, you type a 0 there. Okay. Now, let's see what we can get. So, if I just type a 1 there, it is showing this is a 33.2485 centimeter 360. What is that in inches? Let's find out. That is a 13.09 inch 360. Now, you can mess with this as much as you want. I'm just using this as an example right now. Depending on your desired sensitivity, you can mess with this as much as you want. One thing important to note is that lower numbers equal lower changes in sensitivities, higher numbers equal higher changes in sensitivities. So as you can see, as I'm typing in higher and higher numbers, the sensitivity at the bottom is changing a lot more. 7, 8, 9. Now once you reach 9, you cannot type 10. It'll go to the next digit after that. So 9 is the max you can put in one of these slots. Then again, cycle through numbers 0 through 9 until you reach your desired sensitivity. Now, once you reach your desired sensitivity, you can take whatever number you put in this category here and copy paste it into gst.input.mouseSensitivity. Then come up to File and then Save. So you can close that out. Next, you want to come into profsave_profiles synced. Open that up. Find the same setting, which for all intents and purposes that I just lost is right here. Bam. And change it to the same thing. Now as for zoom sensitivities, it goes for the same. So you need to change the zoom sensitivities in both the other file and this file. All the zoom sensitivities are listed here, as you can see. And you can set those to whatever you want. Now I will say it's kind of sucky, but this website actually puts zoom sensitivities behind a paywall. I did pay for the sake of this video, but it's really not a big deal if you use uniform soldier aiming, which I will go over. So say I want to set, I don't know, my 3x sensitivity. I would just come in here, do the same thing. Mess with this number until I get my desired outcome. That's pretty much it for this. Next I'm gonna talk about how to set up a user config and why it is not cheating, because apparently people think user configs are cheating. And that's a damn shame, because user configs have been around for a long time. Alright, so we're back on my lovely desktop again. I'm going to show you how to set and make a custom user config file. Now, for this, we're going to do the same thing. Go to your File Explorer. Go to where your game is installed on. In my case, it is my D drive. Go to Games. In my case, it might be different for yours, but go to the drive that your game is installed on. In my case, it is D drive under Games. Go to Origin, and then Battlefield 5. Now, here you will find all of your lovely Battlefield files. Now, the one we're going to be talking about here is Mr. User Config right here. So, how you want to set this up is you right click, go to New, Text Document, delete that, type in user.cfg, and then hit enter. Now it's going to give me a warning, blah, 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 yes, yes. That's how you make a config file. It is as easy as that. Now, I'm going to delete this because I already have one, but I just wanted to show you how to make one if you didn't already know how to. So, let's open the config file here. A config file is essentially just console commands that you don't have to type in every single time when you start the game. If I didn't have this, I would have to type every single one of these commands in when I started the game. Now, I want to explain a couple of these commands. You don't need everything in this. This config file is actually very old. If you know Freethy, who has done settings videos for Battlefield 5 before, Freethy actually told me that he did tests with this old config that used to give a lot of performance gain, and apparently it doesn't do anything now. So the only commands that I am really going to go over in this config are the one at the top here, GameTime.MaxVariableFps. Mine is set to 0 because 0 is uncapped frames. So my frames will go as high as they want to. Now you can set this to anything you want. You can set it to 60, 144, 120, 200, 1000, whatever you want. In my case, I just let my frames go uncapped, so I set that to 0. Another setting I want to go over real quick is WorldRender.LightTileCSPath enable 0. Now, this was kind of a controversial command because if you set your motion blur 1% in game and then make a config file with this, it removes TAA, which, as we all know, makes things blurry and irritating. So as I like having high FPS and I don't like blur, I use this, but you do not have to use this if you do not want to. So combined with 1% motion blur, this will disable TAA. Another command that I want to go over is these right here. perf_overlay.drawFPS1 and perf_overlay.FPSDisplayScale3. Now I have these because I stream a lot. So the people that watch me stream like to see how much FPS I get, and this is a great way to do it because it actually renders an FPS counter in your actual game. So perf_overlay.drawFPS1 simply brings up an FPS counter, and perf_overlay.FPSDisplayScale3 makes it larger. So I'm minus set to 3. You can set it to 4. I wouldn't recommend going over 3 because 3 is pretty large. And the final commands I want to talk about are these two. Window.height 1440, window.width 2560. Now, this is my resolution, but I find that if you use some recording software, sometimes Battlefield 5 doesn't start in your native resolution, and it will record in 720p, in my case at least. I use this to force it to start in 1440p. This is entirely optional. You do not have to do this at all. This is purely for me, but I wanted to mention that for people that were having recording issues where you're recording in the wrong resolution and did not know why. This could be it. That is pretty much it for the config file. You really don't need much in here. Again, how to make a config file. It's really just as easy as new text document, user.cfg. That is it. Okay, now that we're done with all the user config and sensitivity stuff, I want to go over some specific settings that people are typically confused about. Most of these are personal preference I want to point out, so it's up to you. So first one is field of view. Now, people tend to think that, oh, they ask me all the time, Enders, what's your FOV? What's your FOV? I tell them, well, it's 84. But they don't understand that there's two different types of FOVs. So the number that you're looking at here says 84, but as you can see over here, it says 100 to the right of the screen. Now, the number here that it's showing is vertical FOV. The number to the right is horizontal FOV. So they're the same number, but displayed differently, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's see if I change this here. See, the number on the right will go down. But we're going to leave that at 84. ADS field of view. Now, ADS field of view, if you're ever wondering, if you're watching my stream or watching anyone else play, and they ADS, and it seems to not zoom in at all, it's because they have this setting turned on. Now, this is personal preference. I personally like having it turned on because I don't like a lot of zoom, especially on 1x sites, because it's supposed to be a 1x, not a fucking 2x. So I turn this on. Varanox, most of you will know him, plays with it off and on. He switches between them, but this is largely personal preference again. ADS depth of field. This will blur your weapon when you zoom in, but I don't really like that. Once again, personal preference. A lot of people also ask me about my color settings and wonder how I get it. Now, this is kind of weird because see how it's hidden pretty well in here if I turn it off. See? Custom color settings. You have to kind of scroll through a bit and then until you finally get custom. Now, I use completely custom color settings. Again, this is entirely personal preference. I like my enemies to be bright red, my teammates to be purple, because I think purple stands out more than blue. I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot. And then squad color, just leave green. So yeah, that's pretty much it there. As far as video settings, this is going to be computer dependent, but I have a really, really high-end computer. And I'll go over my video settings briefly. Frame rate limiter, do not worry about that. If you set your frame rate limit in the config, it will override this. For instance, my FPS is uncapped in the config. Future frame rendering, I have to play with this on. I lose too much FPS if I turn it off. That will go for the vast majority of most people too. VSync, always turn it off. UI upscaling, I don't touch it. GPU memory restriction, I always turn it off. HUD scaling, I don't touch it. Now, I always set my graphics quality to custom because I like to turn everything down as low as possible, at least for this game. Older Battlefield games, such as Battlefield 1, you would actually leave textures on Ultra, as well as Mesh on Ultra, but for this game, for whatever reason, it is recommended that you keep Mesh on low and textures on low. They added this setting, which they didn't really say anything about in any patch notes, but I just turned it to low as well. It could be impacting your performance a lot if you have this any higher than low, but if you didn't know about that setting, it is there. As far as key bindings, you can set key bindings in config, but I actually find it's way easier to set them in game. Now, again, this is personal preference, but yeah, just go figure out your own key bindings, okay? People ask me for my key bindings all the time. I just go play the game, figure out what you like, because everybody's different. Now let's talk about uniform soldier aiming, which is kind of a confusing setting for most people because it is really not explained that well at all. So the way you get to it is you go to Controls and click Advanced. Now, it'll be right here. Soldier aiming, uniform soldier aiming. I personally turned it on, but you have to test it for yourself. Do you like it on? Do you like it off? My coefficient is 178%. Now, the two coefficients that you want to test are the default, which is 133%, and then 178%. Now, there's a lot of math behind this, but the gist of it is 133% and 178% are the two you want to test. Some people say 0%. I've never used it. I've never bought into it. Just try 133 and 178 and see how you like it. Now, this will change the way your sensitivity feels a lot in ADS, so if you don't like it, just turn it off. So now we're going to get into the console side of things. I'm not a console player, but I did ask a lot of very skilled and knowledgeable console players about what I should go over, and they pretty much all said dead zones are very personal preference. You're going to have to figure that out for yourself. But they all also said make sure your input thresholds are as low as possible so you don't have to be, pushing in buttons all the way to get stuff to work. This is kind of personal preference, but I can see why they would all say to put it as low as possible. You don't want to be, slamming something in all the time, making it work. Something that I actually neglected to mention for PC players, always make sure raw mouse input is on. Now, how you get to this menu is you go to Controls, then Controller Tuning. For whatever reason it's in here, I don't know why, but make sure raw mouse input is on. Biz, who I asked to help suggest things for this video, is a very good console player, and he recommended to turn aim acceleration off. Now, I don't actually see aim acceleration in these settings, but I can only assume that it is like mouse acceleration, and mouse acceleration is a big no-no unless you're crooked and a total weirdo and you play with mouse acceleration on. But for the vast majority of people, if aim acceleration is an option on console, make sure to turn that off. Also, make sure to turn off Zoom Snap Aim Assist. You don't want to be that guy, okay? Don't be that guy that plays with Zoom Snap on. Please don't. But that's pretty much it for this video. If you liked the video, subscribe, hit the like button, share this video with other people. I really felt there was a lack of explanation with a bunch of these settings. And I felt like I could kind of provide a helpful look into how I go about setting my settings and, how to set things up properly and how not to mess everything up. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. You can find all my socials on the screen right now and in the description down below. I stream every single day at twitch.tv/enders. I will primarily play Battlefield, but I am also playing Skyrim after Battlefield. So if you like Skyrim, I'm playing a heavily modded version of it right now. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.